portal of entry. Somehow the microbe has to get into you. Once in, just because you have 1, 10, a million bacteria inside of you at a given place, doesn't mean you have an infection. There are still some steps that have to be overcome. The second step is it has to establish itself. Basically, it has to attach to the host somehow, some way. Dirty nail. It's got dirt on it. Puncture. The dirt that was on the nail, the dirt particles, the soil particles, are now in the wound. On each of those soil particles that were on the nail that's now in the wound are going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of different microbes. Just because they're there does not mean I have an infection. Because immediately what's happening is fluid that's being delivered by the bloodstream exits out the bloodstream into the tissues and then drains back to the lymph nodes. Lymph nodes to more lymph nodes, drains into and out with the waste. The microbes that were there are now being rinsed away, going down the lymphatic system to the lymph nodes to the out with the waste. In the process of all that draining, they're being damaged, they're being killed by your immune system. So somehow they have to get in, stay there. Your mouth, like I said, saliva, constantly flushing. Peristalsis, it's constantly moving the microbes from your large intestine, from the ascending, the transverse, down the descending, sigmoid, and out with the poo. So somehow the transient not only has to get in there, but it has to stay there. So the adhesion process, the attachment process, Fimbria pili, if you're talking bacteria. The parasitic worms have developed either suckers or hooks. The suckers, they can sit there and using pressure, negative pressure, adhere, suck onto, and attach to the lining of the gastrointestinal tract, or inside the hepatic ducts of the liver for the liver flukes. Hooks are exactly what it sounds like. If you remember back to the eukaryote chapter, the parasitic tapeworms, some of them have this crown of hooks, so they can sit there and use the hooks to go like this into the epithelial lining of your large intestine and get the hooks embedded in the tissues. All of this is to counter the flushing action. The bacteria that has to ascend up your urethra to cause you to have a urinary tract infection has to counter the flow of urine. Yeah, part of you urinating is not only to get rid of waste water and any waste going along with the water, but it's a flushing action to get the bacteria out. For E. coli, which is the primary cause of urinary tract infections, to get up the urethra to cause urinary tract infection, has to be able to adhere to the epithelial lining of your urethra. Hence, Fimbria and pili. The Fimbria allow it to stick, and as they divide, each subsequent division means they spread. They're not climbing, they're spreading up. They start at the terminal end of the urethra, and they just grow. And with each binary fission division, as the population increases, it just spreads up. It's not a climbing, it's just spreading.